When it comes to productivity, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. And that's actually a quote from Leonardo da Vinci, but it does apply very, very well to productivity as well. And it really just comes back to one core idea, which is that productivity is ultimately just how much you actually get done or how much output you get for your inputs or the time you're spending. And so, really, to maximize your productivity, you basically just want to be doing as little as possible to get the biggest return possible on whatever that was that you're doing. And that's why a lot of ways that people try to be productive or the systems that they set up actually aren't as productive as they could be, or they're just not anywhere near optimal. Because, for example, you might have an extremely complicated Notion setup where you use like 10 different productivity apps in a really, really complicated system. And it sounds good, it looks interesting, it's new. But when it comes down to like the core fundamentals of what productivity actually is, it's not very efficient, it's not very productive. And that's why I personally believe that productivity is really just about trying to do as little as possible, or at least having a simple system for productivity. And that's why I use a lot of analog stuff. I do habit tracking on paper, I do planning on paper, I don't use any productivity apps whatsoever. And obviously, however, doing less looks for you is obviously going to be different to me. But generally, all I wanted to get across in this video is that you just want to be doing less stuff so that you can spend more time on actually taking action and actually doing deep work, for example, or actually doing your habits, which are really the things that you're trying to do. And so it's just an interesting little sort of thought experiment to look at what you're actually doing in terms of productivity and asking yourself whether the systems you actually have set up and what you're actually doing actually helps you achieve your productivity, or whether it's in a way kind of just you procrastinating what you should be doing. For example, a while ago, like a year, maybe a year and a half ago, I had a bit more of a complicated system. I was doing quite a lot of habits, sort of small, sort of self-improvement kind of habits that lots of people recommend that kind of sound good, as well as tracking everything, but like in a lot of detail, like a lot, a lot. It was taking me probably 30 minutes or more a day just to do my tracking. And ultimately, I like it like probably a 1 hour morning routine, 1.5 hours. It just took a lot of time and it kind of felt productive. It sort of felt like I was doing the right thing. But actually, I've come to realize that really that was actually just another way of procrastinating what actually would get me results, which would just be deep work pretty much, or just taking action on whatever your top priority actually is. And so that's why with whatever productivity system you're actually using, it should basically just maximize the returns you're getting on your top priority or your core actions, right? So on deep work and on your habits. It shouldn't be, a complicated system for the sake of being complicated. It should at the very least be complicated, but it actually helps you with the productivity. And ideally, it's very simple, and then that helps you even more with your productivity. And having a simple system, aside from it taking less time, also takes less thought, less maintenance, and just allows you to focus more on what actually matters, as I've said. And so that's basically all I wanted to say in this video. I would highly, highly recommend you look at your system for productivity and see how much you can actually remove and experiment with getting rid of some habits or some of the things you're doing, just to see what the minimum amount of stuff you can do is to get the maximum return and be able to maximize the time that you're spending on your actual priorities and what actually matters. And if you do actually want a bit more advice about the details of how to set up a system like this, there's a link in the description to join my free community where I have a free course going over more of the details about this. Completely free, but if you don't want to join, that is completely fine. Up to you, and have an amazing rest of your day.